right, now amid the biting economic crisis across Nigeria and in a bid to cut costs in every way possible, President Bola Tinubu has ordered the full implementation of the Oronsaye report. The report, proposed 12 years ago by the Oronsaye-led panel, suggests the merging, subsuming, scrapping and relocation of several agencies of government. The Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, revealed this to State House correspondents after Monday's Federal Executive Council meeting at the Aso Rock Villa in Abuja. The President has consequently constituted a committee to implement the mergers, scrapping and relocations within 12 weeks. Submitted in 2012, the Oronsaye report on public sector reforms revealed that there are 541 statutory and non-statutory federal government parastatals, commissions and agencies. For this conversation, we now have Director at Center for International Advanced and Professional Studies, Professor Anthony Kila. Now, Professor Kila will be discussing the merits and demerits of the President's decision and why it took so long for the government to arrive at this junction. It's great to have you, Professor. Very warm welcome to Newsday today. I'm going to get straight into it. Of course, a lot of the controversy surrounding the Oronsaye report is the fact that, of course, we've already seen two other administrations make a commitment to implementing it. Here we are, third time round. Will it be a case of third time lucky? And does it still apply to Nigeria today in its entirety, or does it need some panel beating?
Greetings to everybody. Good to be here. I think we hope that it's a case of third time lucky, but it is more than hope, because what this administration has done with the declaration is they've put time to it. So that when you say in 12 weeks, so that every week, we can be checking what have they done so far. My thinking is that the 12 week is necessary to make the adjustment of people, offices, and processes. That is what I think that the 12 weeks should be used for. You asked three questions twisted into one. You were wondering why it has not been done up to date. Well, simply because there is interest at stake, and the other people did not have the gumption, they did not have the capacity to fully implement it, because probably they didn't want to rock the boat. These presidencies doing it, I think, more as a response to people's cry, because this is a moment where people are asking for leaner government, and it seems to be a populist move to take. And indeed, it's a good move. I must say that I think it's a good thing. But then, even if you don't agree, the number of people who have been saying, implement this report over the years will make you to start believing it. I will advise those who matter in the country to go and dust it up, the 800 pages, just to be very sure that we all know what we're talking about and what to expect precisely. The third part of your question is that, is it still relevant? The short answer is no. It is not 100% exactly as it was intended. Because when this thing was done, how many years ago? 10, 11 years ago, we had less number of agencies. The agencies have grown more. And a lot of things have changed. But I think 12 weeks is enough to adapt it to the changes and to weigh the agencies and commissions that will be merged or scrapped. I think it will be enough time to justify their existence or less. There is a question on what will happen to those who lose their job. Some people are likely to lose their job. It's not a great time to be losing job now. I think part of what the 12 weeks should be used for is to try to see how you can redeploy people as long as they can be productive elsewhere. Well, if they're competent enough to be transferable.
Well said, Professor. Of course, you've already preferred a solution for the demerits, which is unemployment. But other demerits that have been highlighted are disruption and uncertainty when it comes to major institutional shakeups, loss of specialized focus, and political opposition, to mention a few. How do you think we can work around those when it comes to implementing this? Briefly, please.
Oh, yes. I think I'm actually working on a paper now on public policy presentation and implementation for the Commonwealth Institute. And one of the things we're talking about is that policies needs to be very considered And one of the various aspects to consider when you're making a public policy, or indeed even the private sector, is the position of rivals and opposition to your policy. Now, it is true that because of ambition, because of the desire to take over power, people will play politics with your opposition, and they will see only what is wrong if they're in opposition to you. That is their role. That is what they do. The duty of policymakers is to think ahead of possible objections and then deal with them so that they do not stand on their head. That's a crucial thing. So I take this policy, for example. Whilst most people will agree that's a good policy, it has the problem of character, i.e., it seems to be a knee-jerk reaction, though it's a good thing. There's a problem with the timing. If this administration had come in and around the same period when they said subsidy is gone, or say that we're going to unify the forex window, we're also going to implement this policy, it will have sent a signal that these people mean business in terms of reordering and restructuring the system of government and the process of governance in the country. It is still sending a signal now. It's just a weaker signal that, it's lost a bit of momentum. So that is the kind of thing opposition will bring forward. And if you have strategic thinkers, there are things you can deal with. In terms of efficiency, which is what you were alluding to, because of uncertainty, I argue that 12 weeks is enough to deal with those kind of possible inefficiencies if we have people who are competent, focused, and committed, and that have an understanding, how public policy works. If you have a good understanding, you can deal. 12 weeks is more than enough. The users of the agencies and the commissions have to be rechanneled to understand that they're dealing with government, and that government is still government in any ways in which it shows a face. But there has to be that competence to understand it and commitment to make it work. Otherwise, it is doable. But, make no doubt about it. Let's not hide. There's going to be some inconveniences for people. It's just the ability to deal with that inconveniences that matters now. But then, because we've said earlier on, thanks to your stimulation, that you cannot implement it 100% total, the way it was written 10 years ago, 12 years ago. As a matter of fact, the way you bring up a child 10, 12 years ago is different now. If you go to a nursery school, you will see that the attitude is slightly different. And even if you got married 10 years ago, you won't be the same person today again. The same with systems. So we then need to identify some agencies and see what has happened in the world before we decide to tweak them one way or the other. You can't just copy things or apply things the way it is written in a book. You have to quickly assess the world and assess your own factor, your own element to get the best result. And this is where competence comes in.
Right. Professor Anthony Kila, Director at the Center for International Advanced and Professional Studies. Thank you very much for that brief but mighty analysis.